No cameras, no gold-plated confessionals. Nothing but the sound of heels clicking against cold marble and the suffocating crush of a dozen years' worth of secrets poised to come crashing down on all of them in court. It was no longer television, it was the final day of testimony. There wasn't a single chair anywhere to sit. Journalists were shoulder to shoulder, and outside, die-hard supporters stood passionately, not hoping for TV reality spectacles, but hoping for actual justice. To the plaintiff's side of the table, Christine sat. Her jaw was tight, her hands on a black leather binder, softer, more angular than the worn blue one she sat at. To the side of the upright, rigid Janelle sat the woman who would no longer be erased. Down the hall, Cody spat angrily to his lawyer. More tightly than was his custom, his hair was locked in a neat knot. His telltale smile was nowhere to be seen. Robin sat next to him, white and exhausted. Not crying, too exhausted for that. This was a look of exhaustion never to be duplicated by a cameraman. And lastly, the voice of authority. Court will now return to order in the case of Brown versus Brown. The judge shoved his glasses higher on the bridge of his nose, looked around the courtroom and cleared his throat. We will hear the issues of monetary restitution this day. Ms. Christine Brown, Ms. Janelle Brown, you may go ahead. Christine stood up without speaking. She once nodded at the clerk, threw open her binder, and showed in front of her one red tab. On it was boldly written, $4.7 million, diverted, disguised, denied. The room rocked as if out of balance. Cody's drumming fingers paused. Robin's face paled even further. Christine's firm, even voice cut through the silence. Your Honour, today we will prove how over $4.7 million was channeled, shielded and stolen, all for family. Hook. But if that number in and of itself sounds outrageous, wait until you hear what happened next. Christine snapped out a crisply detailed timeline between 2014 and 2023, every year planned in bright colour. The judge's brow went up. Is that supported? Christine was uncompromising. Every line has a retired IRS auditor's signed bank statement. But coup de grace was yet to come. Janelle extracted a USB stick from her bag with the title, Recording the Shift. She handed it over to the technician. Play for the first 2 minutes, she told him. Static filled the speakers. Next was Cody's close voice from the system. If we transfer the TLC payment to the LLC, Christine will never even know. She doesn't complain. Janelle will complain, but she'll have it done. Robin's credit can cover the difference. The courtroom gasped. The judge leaned forward. Mr. Brown, is that your voice? Cody sat rigidly, arms crossed over his chest. No answer. He didn't need to answer. The harm was already done. Christine pressed on, flipping to the next tab. The early years of what she called strategic family displacement. She revealed the 2014 renegotiation of the TLC contract. Instead of splitting payments individually, all funds were funneled into a shiny new company, Brown Legacy Holdings. But whose name appeared on the beneficiary account? Not Christine's, not Janelle's, not even Mary's, only Robin's. Hook. And that was just the beginning, because what they discovered next was worse. Janelle unfolded a massive spreadsheet subpoenaed from the network. We should all have earned around $114,000 in 2015. Christine got $78,000. I got $84,000. Mary got $91,000. She paused. The rest, $327,000, gone. And in 2016, nearly $300,000 wired to a Flagstaff construction company for renovations on Robin's second home, paid directly from the same LLC account holding the TLC checks. Same routing number, same signature. The courtroom chilled. Cody muttered, "This is a circus." Without missing a beat, the judge replied, "And you're the ringmaster." Christine's hand reached for the yellow tab. If it had left it there, perhaps this is a money dispute, but it did not leave it there. She put a notarized letter in front of him. In 2017, a personal loan was written in my name, except that is not my signature. I did not sign it. forgery. The judge's lips pouted. Christine called in a handwriting expert. Meanwhile, Cody erupted during recess. "I did what I had to do to keep the family together," Christine shot back. "No, you kept us apart so you could build something without us." Hook. But the worst was yet to come in the binder, the tab Coyote Pass. That's where it all would come crashing down. When court resumed, whispers swept through the corridor. News of the forgery accusation had already leaked, and now every tick of the clock felt like it carried the weight of an explosion. The judge returned, visibly tense. "We've reviewed the handwriting analysis. The signature on the 2017 loan does not match Ms. Brown's records. This court now considers this potential forgery." Christine didn't even blink. Janelle kept her hand on the binder when the judge leaned in for them to continue. Christine went to the next tab, striped thick, black and white, a tab with secrets darker than the first ones she'd seen. She called it Coyote Pass, the ground which was to be their sign of unity, but which had actually become the family's widest divide. She spread out a tiny plat map, each lot numbered, circled, and labelled with exactness. "Your Honour," she started, "we were supposed to receive 5 lots, one for each of us, equal, fair, 50-50. But when she delivered the official county filing to the judge, the truth cut like a knife. There were only 2 names on the deeds, Cody Brown, Robin Brown, not Christine, not Janelle, not Mary. The courtroom fell silent, darkness. Janelle rose, firm voice but with a bite of suffering. "I lived on the land, in a trailer. I believed it was mine. I spent $141,000 of my retirement savings on soil testing, electrical supplies, septic permits. I believed I was building my future." She threw the stack of receipts onto the table like pebbles. "I never got paid back, and I never knew my name wasn't even on the deed." Robin's eyes opened wide to Cody. The judge's eyes turned to Cody. Was this done with their consent? Cody stood up, but his courage deserted him. "My accountant recommended consolidation for purposes of refinancing, always intended to redraw later." Janelle's answer cut him short. 6 years ago, Christine and I waited. Robin's was the only house ever built, no meetings, no votes, and the land was refinanced 3 times, with our never-given signatures. She shoved in front of him a notarized affidavit. "That states Robin Brown owns my parcel, and what do we have here? Not my signature." The judge stopped. "Forgery, again?" Christine responded softly. "Testified by the same handwriting expert. Used to borrow money to pay off the mortgage and to launder money through Dalton Holdings." "Through Dalton Holdings?" the judge asked. "A holding company," Christine said. Janelle pulled out another USB drive. The technician pressed play. Once more, Cody's words were heard in the courtroom. "It's not stealing, it's covering assets. Janelle won't strike back, she never does. And if Christine inquires, just tell her it's for taxes. Robin's name is clean anyway." The gallery gasped as Cody slumped forward in his chair, spent of combat. Christine reached across Janelle, her voice little more than a whisper. They heard it. Janelle remained silent. Her eyes were on the tab that followed in the binder, because this time the betrayal would not be for cash. It would be for their children. Hook. And if money could stun the courtroom, then what was about to occur next would shatter it. Christine opened the soft yellow tab, her hands trembling. The judge narrowed his eyes. "Proceed." Her voice wavered with emotion, but not uncertainty. "Your Honour, we're not here to weaponize our children, but they were exploited, financially, emotionally, legally. And that truth must be told." She put a paper on the judge's desk. A 2018 signature form. It granted Cody and Robin power to file jointly with all the kids in the household, bar none, whoever their mother was. "I never signed this, but my name is on it." The judge didn't even ask her about it. He gestured to the clerk. "Verified forgery," Christine continued. Cody filed a dependency credit in 2019 and claimed all 10 of our children on Robin's return. That gave us $64,000 in benefits and refunds. The judge turned to Cody. Is that correct? Christine broke in, overruling the defense. It is correct. We subpoenaed the IRS. She turned over another page. 3 of my children sought scholarships. 2 of them were rejected because our bloated family income under Cody and Robin's filing disqualified them. 2 of my children had to leave school. Meanwhile, $32,000 tuition payments went to a private charter for Robin's kids. The same month, my daughter was turned down for cash for books. The courtroom chilled. Christine's face burned with anger, and she fought not to weep. One of my daughters worked 3 jobs because Cody said he couldn't send one of his to school, but he could send theirs. The judge's expression chilled. Mr. Brown, these are your own biological children. Cody's voice trembled. Yes, but we had an understanding, Christine snapped. There was no compromise. You gave Robin everything. The rest of us got crumbs. For the first time, even Robin noticed him with anything less than devotion. Janelle addressed her part. My son's urgent surgery was postponed. Our joint insurance card had expired. Cody had covertly switched, only in identity. The technician produced the email confirmation. Christine had spoken softly too. When I asked him why, he said it was a strategic decision to safeguard the people who meant most to me. The gallery didn't gasp collectively anymore. It just stared at Cody, the bad guy no longer hidden but disintegrating in their faces. Hook. And there was one final piece, though. Not financial, not technical, personal, blowing enough to silence even Cody himself. Christine produced a final silver USB drive, smaller, wispy-looking, cradled in her fingers as if hot. Your Honor, this one is for the children. Playback was permitted by the judge. The lights dropped, the courtroom to reverent quiet. A clock flashed, May 12, 2021. 9:47 p.m., Christine's kitchen, and Cody's voice was booming in the room. She ain't going to college. If she can't afford herself, she needs to reconsider her options. Robin's girls are businesslike. They hold respect for the family tie. Christine baby her kids all the time. Well, now she can learn the hard way. Christine's tight but wiry voice spoke up next. You said we'd share it 50-50. You said we were family. Cody's response echoed back. We are, but break my back. You knew the deal. The music had been suddenly cut off. No, not because it was finished, but because Christine insisted it be stopped. She stood before the judge, determined but bruised. That was the night I lost my faith in him, but it took 2 years before I had the courage to stand here today. Janelle stood there with her, arms folded over a pile of envelopes. Your Honor, these are rejection letters from my children, one for my son, one from Christine's daughter. They both were rejected for scholarships because Cody and Robin were putting in for head of household, dependents who weren't even theirs. She handed over the envelopes to the clerk. The courtroom fell silent, then knife-sharp. Cody's lawyer sank back into his seat, but the judge's glowering gaze fell directly onto the defense table. Mr. Brown, effective today, all accounts in your name and Robin Brown's name are frozen pending audit. Subpoena will also be issued on the books of Brown Legacy Holdings and Dalton Holdings, LLC. Clear? Cody was silent. Robin spoke up. She leaned over, her words barely audible. I didn't know. I thought it was me and the girls. I didn't know he was scamming them too. Christine looked at her. Not with rage, but with weary comprehension. You did not ask, because you liked the answer too much, the judge went on. Without objection, this court will now turn its attention to monetary restitution for fraud, misrepresentation, and emotional damages. Christine ripped open the final tab in her binder. Blue. One word, reparations. And below it, $4,700,000. Hook. This wasn't a number. This was 12 years of lies finally brought into the light. Christine's voice was firm, her hands not shaking. The number is not arbitrary. It's for each stolen fund, each fraudulent loan, each hijacked tax credit, each tuition foregone, each hijacked future. We are not seeking vengeance, Your Honor. We are seeking equilibrium. She laid out the evidence step by step. $1.2 million taken out of TLC profits and transferred into Robin's account through the LLC. $380,000 in loans, taken in Christine's name, in Janelle's, in both their names. $167,000 stolen from the Family Medical Reserve Fund, money meant for sick children, spent on Robin's unrelated custody case. $1.6 million refinances against Coyote Pass, mortgaged together with Christine's and Janelle's lots, without their consent or knowledge. Each page hit like a punch, each signature discovered to be forged. The judge's face grew darker with each page, and then Janelle's final. She stood there with a flash drive in her hand. "This isn't sound," she gasped. "It's numbers." The courtroom screen pulsed. A ledger appeared, transaction by transaction, year by year. 37 suspicious transfers, household reserves, education funds, emergency trusts, all to one account, Robin's. Total, $4,701,437. The judge leaned back, gazing intently at Cody. "Mr. Brown, you are required to provide an affidavit sworn under oath of all transactions within 72 hours. And subject to verification, this court directs payment of $4.7 million restitution, 61% to Christine Brown, 39% to Janelle Brown." The gallery gasped. Christine blinked in shock, but Janelle's voice broke in. "Your Honor, will the court address the trust, the one our names were removed from?" The judge nodded solemnly. "That's next." Cody slumped back in defeat. Robin cried quietly, but no one glanced in her direction. Christine clicked the binder shut. Not in triumph, with finality. Hook. For this was never a question of money. This was betrayal, signed, notarized, hidden in the quietness of a trust no one had ever enrolled in. Christine clicked another tab open. The headline terms were concise. Trust Amendment, March 2021. A thin document, inconspicuous. But its impact would destroy everything else that stood. Most of them wouldn't have so much as given it a second look. A thin, discreet paper. But it was the paper that ended 20 years of trust in one blow. Christine pushed it across the table. "This," she said, "is the amendment to our family estate trust. It was signed during mid-pandemic. It removed Janelle and me as co-beneficiaries and distributed everything to Robin Brown and her children." Janelle's voice shook with frustration. "We weren't told. We didn't sign. I didn't find out until my lawyer requested an asset appraisal with my divorce." The judge glared at the amendment. "These signatures look stamped from a machine." "They were," replied Christine. "Computer copied, without our knowledge." Robin fidgeted, swabbing tears away. Cody defended himself. They agreed. But Christine's eyes did not even flicker in Robin's direction. "Did you ever have a doubt, and did you just accept his account because it was convenient for you?" The judge raised a hand, freezing the tension. "Facts only. Clerk, verify signature trails. Obtain IP confirmation." But Christine wasn't finished. She produced a second document signed on the same date, March 3rd, 2021. "Here's the bonus," she snarled. "The Robin Brown Trust, created on the same day, financed with $790,000 from the sale of a Las Vegas property we owned." Janelle's voice rose in indignation. "I never signed the sales contract, but it carries my signature." The courtroom screen erupted in paper. Buyer, shell company of Robin's brother, bank account, Robin's own trust. Then Christine pulled out something even heavier than that, such a note held in plastic. A page from Cody's old ledger book. She handed it to the judge. In Cody's handwriting, "Secure the girl's future. Act now. Coyote is the long game. Keep it in her name. No distractions, no signature." The courtroom stopped dead in its tracks. Cody's face spoke the truth his lips never would. The judge exhaled, voice grave. We may no longer be talking about civil wrongdoing. If authenticated, this veers into criminal fraud. Hook. The game had just shifted, and Cody knew it. Janelle whispered to Christine, "We've got him." Christine nodded. "We have the receipts, the trails, the recordings, but there's one final tab left in this binder. One word, confession." The audience took a deep breath. Slowly, the doors creaked open. No flash, no applause, just footsteps, paced, soft, and deliberate. A woman entered. She wasn't put together, she wasn't glamorous, but every last one of them recognized her. Mary Brown, the forgotten wife, the quiet wife, the ghost wife, and the surprise witness who would topple Cody's empire. Christine stood up. "Your Honor, if the court would allow us, we'd like to put into evidence a voluntary, notarized affidavit from Mary Brown. She's also asked to read into the record a portion of it." The judge indicated agreement. "Ms. Brown, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under oath?" Mary puffed out her chin. "I do." For the first time in years, Mary stood alone in the spotlight, no longer Cody's shadow. Her voice did not quiver, although with a hint of ache. "I kept quiet because I thought quiet was strength, but quiet was complicity, and I will no longer be complicit." She pulled out a green ledger, its edges clipped and worn out. "It's mine. I started it the day I read Cody's words and his bank statements never catching up. In 2017, I discovered that my name was removed from the family business account. Cody told me it was due to streamlining. Weeks after that, I was told Robin was put in my place." She opened the binder, page after page of email. "Here are my questions. Here are his answers. Brief, dismissive, evasive." Mary went on, Janelle's eyes widening. "When property tax on Coyote Pass was due, I proposed half pay. Cody informed me it was none of my concern. What I did not know at the time is I'd already been removed from the deed." Christine whispered, "He pushed us away, one by one." The judge examined an email inside. Cody to his advisor, "Mary's done. Don't tell her yet. We're moving her share to Robin. Clean it up later." Dated February 2019, 2 years before Mary even discovered she'd been cut out, but she wasn't finished. From her bag, she produced a USB drive that she put on the table. "One evening in 2020, I recorded a phone call, not for trial, just for me, because I couldn't believe what I'd heard." The technician pressed play. Cody's voice, icy and rumbling, filled the courtroom. "Mary's no longer an asset. Robin is the future. The network approves of her. The brand approves of her. I can't keep carrying dead weight just because of nostalgia." No gasps, only a suffocating silence. A man caught rewriting history in the moment. Mary's voice broke as she spoke to Christine and Janelle. "I believed he loved me, but what he loved was what I could give him, and once that was gone, so was I." The judge closed the binder with a snap. "Thank you, Ms. Brown. Your testimony is now part of the record." Christine stood up. "Your Honor, the plaintiffs rest our witness phase." The judge nodded. "Then we recess until closing arguments." Cody's side didn't move. Robin simply glared at the floor. And Mary? She was no longer sitting beside Cody. She sat on the bench beside Christine and Janelle, not as plaintiff, not as defendant, but as something so much stronger. Hook. Because this wasn't ever about who screamed the loudest. It was about who finally had the courage to speak. The courtroom was no longer the same. It had become a denser place. With each lie, with each entry in the ledger, with every document signed in someone else's name, something had been uncovered. Christine, Janelle, and Mary had stacked the facts so high that they weighed down the air. Everyone in the room knew this. The leader of a so-called kingdom was unraveling in the light of day. And then, it was Cody's turn. He sat up slowly, slouching his shoulders as though the very truth had curved his back. His lawyer came over, speaking hastily in a whisper, but Cody stayed him with his hand. "No," he groaned. "I will say it." The room was still. He stepped towards the center, feet solid, eyes blazing with fury and fear. His voice cut through the silence. "You want a confession? Fine. I stole the TLC money. I used the LLC. I used Coyote Pass for things that I didn't disclose, but I wasn't stealing. I was surviving." He paced, speaking faster and faster now. "You don't have any idea. 4 wives, 4 houses, 4 storms to ride out. I did what I had to do just to stay whole." The judge's eyebrow went up. "By manufacturing fake documents." Cody swallowed hard. "No one was ever going to get hurt," Christine stood. "But we did." Janelle's voice broke in. "We lost time. We lost trust. We lost our futures." And Mary, cool but tough, put in, "And we lost you." Cody went back to Robin, pleading, Tell them I wasn't trying to hurt anyone." But Robin refused even to glance at him. She could see this was no leadership. This was desperation on behalf of other people. The judge brought his head forward. "Mr. Brown, let me be precise. You are not being charged with polygamy. You are not being charged with being an inadequate husband. You are charged with fraud, misrepresentation, forgery, and the criminal exploitation of dependents for profit." Cody exploded, shouting. They knew what they were getting into. They wanted freedom. Now they want a payoff. Christine stood up, moving slowly, her voice strong. "No, we want accountability." Janelle repeated it. "And honesty. You didn't merely lie to us. You built a kingdom upon our shoulders. And when you were done with us, you erased us from record." The gavel fell once. "That is enough, Mr. Brown. Your tirade has been recorded. We will meet tomorrow for closing arguments, restitution, asset transfer, and consideration of criminal charges." Cody sat down in his empty chair. No Christine or Janelle party. No win. Because this wasn't finished, not yet. Outside, headlines were already being written. Cody admits guilt in court. $4.7 million restitution case nears verdict. Mary Brown breaks silence. Secret trust scheme revealed. But inside, Janelle stood before Christine. "He's still not telling us everything. I know it." Christine was quiet. She simply gazed at the binder in front of her. It was open, and the last page was crossed red. The master account. The courtroom, earlier the next day, was crowded with reporters, analysts, even podcasters spilling into the aisles. Because everyone had the feeling there was a final secret within the trial, and the question dangled in the air like thunder on the verge of cracking. Where was the money balance? The judge intervened. "Before restitution, is there a final exhibit?" Christine rose from her seat slowly, grudgingly. "Yes, Your Honor, one more." She slammed the binder open. The tab was thicker, creased from use, stamped not with name or date, but slogan, "The Master Account." Her words cut the silence. "We have shown how money was routed, misrepresented, concealed." But there was one final question. Where was it going? Not merely the missing checks, not merely the trusts, the big money, the investment gains, the liquidation transactions, the real estate flips. She handed the judge a sealed envelope. "This is a portfolio that was purchased under subpoena. It belongs to an offshore account in B's. Registered owner, KR Investments, owned by Cody W. Brown." Gasps erupted around the room. Janelle took a step forward. This account had over $5.2 million deposited within 7 years. Deposits are tied to TLC payments, land sales, and LLC rental income. The judge's eyes tightened. Tied to the LLCs already discovered. In fact, as testified by Christine, Brown Legacy Holdings and Dalton Holdings invested in a Nevada shell corporation. That shell corporation appears as a partner on the buy's account. The courtroom monitor sprang to life, tracing all the wire deposits. from TLC to Brown Legacy Holdings to the Shell Corp to KR Investments. Christine's tone chilled. Cody told you that the market fell, that the production payments were past due, that he was broke. This story tells a different tale. When we trimmed on groceries, took out loans to go to school, and sold jewelry to have cars fixed, he had $1 million stashed abroad. She composed a further piece of writing, an internal bank email. Subject line, account update. Balance as of August 12th, 1.04 million USD. 3 months later, Robin requested a small business loan in severe financial need. The judge leaned back in his chair, amazed. Cody got up, white-faced. He didn't argue. He simply growled, "You have no idea what pressure I was under." But no one nodded, no one sympathized with him. Because the courtroom knew pressure is different from betrayal. Hook. And as the judge was preparing to start closing arguments, something had never been more evident. Cody Brown's empire hadn't just broken down, it had been exposed. The atmosphere in the courtroom was another. What had been a battle of depositions and paper had become thick, unquestionable. Christine, Janelle, and now Mary had stacked evidence high. Forged signatures, manufactured trusts, disappeared money trails. Lies had been constructed like bricks for more than a decade, and now the wall was crumbling for all to behold. The individuals in and out of the courtroom today understood it. Cody Brown's meticulously constructed reputation as self-proclaimed patriarch of a spiritual empire was being taken apart stone by stone. Then it was Cody's turn. He stood up, half-hunched, smaller, almost dwarfed by the things he was keeping hidden. His attorney leaned forward to whisper in his ear, but Cody pushed him away. "No," he growled, "I'll speak." The stunned hush that settled was heavy, and what came out next wasn't defense, it was desperation. "You want the truth?" Cody screamed. His voice shook. "Okay, I embezzled TLC funds. I ran shell corporations. I hid property under Coyote Pass. But I was not stealing. I was surviving." He paced the courtroom like an animal trapped in a cage, talking of the Sisyphean task of maintaining 4 wives, 4 houses, mountains of bills. But then came the question that stopped him in his tracks. "By forging documents," the judge went on. Cody's windpipe tightened. No one was supposed to get hurt. Christine's voice cracked like glass, though. "We did. Janelle was next. We lost faith. We lost time. We lost our futures." And the last of the holdouts, Mary, spoke quietly at the end. "And we lost you." Cody glared over at Robin, begging her to stand up for him. But Robin stayed silent this time too. Even she seemed to know. This was not sacrifice, this was strategy. Perhaps the judge himself put it best. "You are not on trial for polygamy or for being unsuccessful as a husband. You are on trial for fraud, forgery, and financial deception." But Christine, Janelle weren't done. They had one more card up their sleeves, one more tab in the binder with 2 words typed on it: the master account. As Christine spread out the records of offshore banks, the room fell silent. All eyes were on the name, KR Investments, Cody W. Brown. Over $5.2 million flowing through shell companies, traced back to TLC deals and real estate purchases. It was undeniable. It was devastating. The court had shifted once more. This was not a matter of life and death anymore. This was a matter of betrayal. And the judge knew that. "This report," he said, "will be forwarded for criminal prosecution. The verdict the next day." Cody Brown, found guilty of financial fraud, ordered to pay $4.7 million in restitution, the majority to Christine, the remainder to Janelle. His businesses folded, his properties reassigned, his offshore accounts seized, and then a criminal investigation. Robin wept. Mary was resolute. Janelle grasped Christine's hand. This was not victory, it was freedom. The gavel fell, the courtroom exploded, and with that the years of deceit behind the veil of family bliss were over. But the finale was not on courthouse steps. Christine built a peaceful new life, her redemption spent not on things, but on freedom, a trust fund for her children's futures. Janelle stood on her newly renamed land, barefoot, as surveyors etched out the blueprint of the house she had always dreamed of. Mary moved to New Mexico, running her business her own way. No contracts, no hidden signatures, no silent drains. And Robin? Her bank account seized, her credibility torn apart, her silence more powerful than her tears. For Cody, the cameras disappeared. No wives on sofas, no producers with pens. Only subpoenas, silence, and a damaged reputation. Weeks later, Christine held her courthouse pass in her palm, a reminder of the day that she discovered her voice. She was no longer just a wife. She was no longer a name marked off a sheet of paper or a signature forged. She was Christine Brown, and for the first time in 20 years, she had won.